What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So, NFL free agency was just completely spiraling yesterday on day one of the negotiation period and the legal tampering period. A couple of moves that happened before free agency opened that I haven't covered yet. So let's jump right in. Got a lot to cover. If anything else squeaks through while I'm live, of course, I'll get that to you guys live on the show. The Ravens make a big trade. They acquire all-pro pass rusher from the Las Vegas Raiders, Max Crosby. It's in their first round pick this year and next year to the Las Vegas Raiders. So this is a risky move for the Baltimore Ravens. Max Crosby is no real player. He's a great player, one of the easily 4 or 5 best edge rushers in all football. He's an absolute beast, model citizen, great leader. He's everything you want in a football player. Max Crosby is 29 years old. So keep that in mind. This is an aging core. Lamar Jackson himself is going to be 30 years old. He has not made it to the Super Bowl yet. And the Baltimore Ravens, simply, they're running out of time. Of course, you just let go of John Harbaugh. After an 18-year run in Baltimore, you bring in Jesse Minter, a former assistant coach with your team. Of course, he was recently a defensive coordinator with the Chargers. Did a good job, of course, won a national championship as the defensive coordinator for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan in 2023 before taking the DC job with the Chargers. Of course, Jim brought him with him. So he takes over the Baltimore Ravens. So your window is starting to close, and it's closing fast. You probably have maybe 2 or 3 more years, and if you'll get one in that time, we're going to have some difficult conversations. But the Baltimore Ravens pick up a great player. They're clearly going all in because Max is making a lot of money. He's the elite edge rusher that you really, really needed. That you get that. And you trade a top 15 pick this year for him and your first round pick next year as well. If everything goes right, that won't be a very good pick, but still a first round draft pick. And they send that to the Raiders for Max Crosby. As for the Raiders, this is a really good trade for them. There's no point in keeping Max Crosby. You have to rebuild somehow. You're a disastrous organization. John Spytek is in his second year of a job as general manager. You bring in a new coach in Clint Kubiak, who, of course, just won a Super Bowl as the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator. They're going to be drafting a rookie quarterback, number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza. You have some young talent on that team, but, you need a lot of work. I'll get to their free agency moves very shortly. But Max, look, he's an outstanding player, but you weren't going to win with anything with him. Unfortunately, you weren't going to be able to move forward. So now you have 2 top 15 picks this year. You get your quarterback with the first overall pick. They can do whatever the heck you want with that 14th overall pick, and you have the Ravens first rounder next year. This allows you to fully rebuild around Fernando Mendoza. You're also not going to pay him anything for a bunch of years. Ashton Jeanty won't need to pay anything for a few years. Even Brock Bowers has another year before you have to pay him, and a tight end's not going to get the money that a quarterback is going to get, of course. And any other young talent you already have, whether it's Trey Tucker, Jack Beck, or somebody on defense, they're not making any money right now and won't for another couple of years. So now you have pretty much a clear table in terms of finances, and now you have a treasure trove of draft picks over these next couple of years. So this is the right move for the Raiders, getting 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby. The Colts, so they were busy. Before free agency started, they traded Zaire Franklin to the Packers for Colby Wooden. I think his contract was getting a little bit older. I like that move for the Green Bay Packers. Bit of a down year this past year, but he's still a good player, still a solid linebacker. For the Green Bay Packers to add, I think they knew they were going to lose Quay Walker, so they replaced him with Ray Franklin. Moving on, they re-signed Alec Pierce to a huge deal, 4 years, $114 million. That's a ridiculous contract for Alec Pierce. What does that come to? Like $28.5 million, something like that, $27.5 million. That's ridiculous for a guy whose career high in catches was 47 last year. However, he did crack 1,000 yards last year for the first time in his career. He's still very young. He's an elite deep threat. I'm not sure he's a true wide receiver 1, though he was probably the Colts wide receiver 1 by default last year. But that's a hefty price to bring him back at. So he's back in Indianapolis. And they also traded Michael Pittman to the Steelers Seaver signed him to a 3-year, $59 million extension. I like Pittsburgh picking him up. It's a late round pick swap, 6th and 7th round picks each go the other way each. I think he'll be a solid number 2 receiver next to DK Metcalf. That's something Pittsburgh really needed, no matter who the quarterback is, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or somebody else. Being said, I think 20 million nearly a year for Pittman's a little bit steep. However, they really need a number 2 receiver. Calvin Olsen isn't it. It's not Roman Wilson. It's not anybody else you have there. Adam Thielen retired. He wasn't a number 2 receiver anymore anyway. That you picked him up last year. So I understand the Michael Pittman move. For the Colts, they probably knew he wanted an extension. I get not wanting to pay him that, considering you're paying Alec Pierce damn near $30 million a year. Probably not smart to pay Pittman $20 million a year. And you're already paying Daniel Jones almost $40 million. He might get more on an extension before the season starts. You're paying Sauce Gardner over $30 million. You don't have a first round pick to 2028. You don't have a ton of assets. So I get, you got to find, some sort of money to spend elsewhere somewhere. And they found that by moving Pittman so they can use, the $20 million they're probably going to have to give him somewhere else, which is a smart move because you have Alec Pierce, who's an elite deep threat. I like Josh Downs. You obviously can run the football. Tyler Lawrence only going to get better. First run time last year was early goes a rookie. So we get why that happened. The Bears make a couple of moves. They trade for Garrett Bradbury. They send a 5th round pick next year to the New England Patriots for Garrett Bradbury. I wonder if he'll play center for them. He came up a center with the Minnesota Vikings last year, played guard for the New England Patriots. He had kind of an okay year. But again, Bears center Drew Dalman shockingly retires after making the Pro Bowl, only being 27 years old. Bradbury is just kind of okay. Actually, no, he did play center last year for them. He wasn't great. As a pass blocker, he was slightly below average for a center. He was very bad as a run blocker. Overall, was not great. With the Bears, who knows? Maybe he plays a little better, but he's always been a guy who's a relatively solid run blocker, but a really bad pass blocker. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. It's definitely a major downgrade from Drew Dolan, but you never know. There's still a couple of guys out there. Maybe they bring in somebody else. Maybe he ends up being a depth piece, like a guy can use kind of like a chess piece. He can play guard. He can play center. We'll see what happens. But the Bears bring him in. They also signed Devin Bush, 3 years, $30 million. I like Devin Bush. So he's had kind of an up and down career. His rookie year in Pittsburgh, he was an absolute monster to being a pretty high draft pick. His second year, he tore his ACL for a couple of years, was not the same player and struggled, though he revamped his career in Cleveland. He was very good last year. Was very, very good against the run. That's something the Bears need. They were really bad against the run last year, so that's a good pickup for them. Still 27 years of age. And they also had Kobe Bryant, 3 years, $40 million. Just won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks. Excuse me, not a star, but he's making, $16.5 million. That's not really star money. I think it's a very fair deal. He's a good pickup for them. They really need another safety. You have 2 young corners, and Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon were both injured a lot last year. If those 2 guys healthy, you pick up Kobe Bryant, you pick up Devin Bush in the middle of your defense. Up front, you have a couple of nice pieces. This kind of allows you now in the first round of a draft to kind of take best player available. It's like, we got to take a defensive player. So you can go defense. You can go maybe receiver. After you traded by DJ Moore, you can go somewhere else. So this gives you some more options in the draft. These are 2 solid pickups on the defensive side of the football. But Texans, so first of all, they extend Daniel Hunter next year. He'll make $4 million in 2027. A $30 million signing bonus. Very underrated player, one of the best edge rushers in the league. Elite duo with Will Anderson. And they also bring in Reed Blankenship, 3 years, $24.7 million. Would like to see them add to the offensive line. It's been bad for several years now. Nick Cassaro, their GM, thinks their O-line is just incredible. I don't understand what he sees, because it's not. But, Blankenship's not a bad player. He's a very solid safety. He was in Philadelphia the last couple of years. He won a Super Bowl. He's a good player. Houston's defense is maybe the best in the NFL. Didn't really need to add to it necessarily, but he's a good player. And he'll probably play a lot for them this coming year. Chargers made a couple of moves. They signed Tyler Baez, 3 years, $30 million. Definitely much needed. They got to look at the offensive line. It was probably the worst in the NFL last year. He's a very solid center. Had a good year in Washington last year. They let him go for cap purposes after the season. Definitely an upgrade over Bradley Bozeman, who was terrible last year. That's a good move. Also signed Charlie Kolar from a Raven to a 3-year deal worth $24.3 million. He'll handle the blocking duties at the tight end position. And I assume we'll back up Lorraine Gadsden, of course, playing with the Ravens. He played for John Harbaugh. Now he's going to play for Jim Harbaugh. They have relatively similar coaching styles, so that should be a good fit. Eagles extend Jordan Davis, 3 years, $78 million with $65 million guaranteed. Davis is really, really good. He doesn't get talked about a lot because he's playing next to Jalen Carter, who's an absolute monster. But Jordan Davis is a beast. Obviously, went to college with Jalen Carter. He's a monster, especially against the run. Had a great year last year. Then they lock him down. Heard Philadelphia is sniffing around maybe the Jalen Carter trademark. I wonder if that goes through. I know he will need a huge extension probably next year. Bills re-signed Connor McGovern, 4 years, $52 million with $32 million guaranteed. It's a good move. He's a very good center on a great year last year. Bills bring him back. Now we get into some of the bigger moves here. Cowboys trade for Rashawn Gary. They give up a third-round pick next year. I mean, Gary, he's a fine player. He's a really solid, like, number 2 pass rusher. You put him across from, like, a Micah Parsons. He will absolutely wreck. He can give you 10 to 12 sacks, but if he's kind of on his own, he probably will have more than, like, 5 or 6 sacks. But he's a decent player. Packers were going to cut him. They ended up getting something for him. Look, it's not even in this draft, but I wouldn't even give up a third-round pick for him. You know that it's either they trade him or he hits the open market. I'm not sure why you would give up a whole lot for him. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like, you have a third-round pick for him. But it's not till next year. They desperately need some pass rush help and all across the defense, and they have Rashawn Gary. They signed Jamin Thompson, 3 years, $33 million. He's a solid safety. He gets $11 million a season. We have a pretty not a big move. The Jets are acquiring Geno Smith for the Raiders, getting him in a 7th-round pick for him, and then give a 6th-round pick to the Raiders. So Geno, who was supposed to be released because it's unofficial till tomorrow and Francie officially opens. Geno Smith is now a Jet. He's now a New York Jet. I mean, look, he obviously started with the Jets, 2nd-round pick in 2013, was not very good the first couple of years. He bounces around the league as a backup. Has a very good year with Seattle a couple of years ago, has regressed every season since. Was very bad with the Raiders last year. Don't know why he's going to give it at, 36 or 37 years old with... He'll have a better offensive line. The running game will be probably just as good. You know, Genty and Breece Hall. Hall's a more polished player. Genty probably has a higher upside. The weapons are probably even worse. The defense is probably just as mediocre. The coaching's probably just as bad, if not worse. I don't expect much out of him. I bet he'll be serviceable. But I'm not sure what they're going to be paying him. When those details come out, we'll hear about it. But I mean, you only get a 6th-round pick for him. But Geno Smith to the Jets. And the Patriots just made a move. They just signed Romeo Doubs, 3 years, $60 million. I'm not sure if Doubs is worth $20 million, but I did need another receiver. I don't think he's a number 1 wideout, but he is a solid receiver when he's healthy. He looks really stupid out there with that big, stupid guardian cap. Now, I don't care if guys wear guardian caps. You want to protect yourself. By all means, it's a dangerous sport. But can the NFL make them look not so dumb? They look like a Pee-wee football player. Look like my friend's younger brother when he was like 10 and he played football. Yeah, the big-ass helmet on. Doesn't fit his head. Like, what? Like what are we doing? I don't understand, but all kidding aside, Romeo Doubs to the Patriots, 3 years, $60 million. And moving along, as things continue to come through, I'm sure. Speaking of, before we get back to the Jets, the Rams extend Trent McDuffie, 4 years, $124 million, $100 million guaranteed. $31 million a year makes him the highest paid corner in the league. A lot of money. Of course, you give a lot of draft picks for him, though. He is elite. One of the best corners in all the NFL. Can play on the inside, can play on the outside. He's an elite player. His old college coach is on the staff. They also added Jalen Watson, McDuffie's former teammate, this past season. Jalen Watson, 3 years, $51 million. This is a good move. He's a very good corner. He's gotten better every year. Rams add two really good corners, which is something they need to do, and they both are familiar with each other because they both play on the Chiefs these last few years. Going to the Jets, they pick up first to go with Dolphins as well. This is also with the Jets. Nick Fitzpatrick trade to the Jets for a 7th-round pick. So it's a 3-year, $40 million extension. Good move for the Jets. They've needed safety help for a while now. Minka getting a little bit older. I think going to be 29 or 30 years old, but he's still a good safety. Jets add him. Don't give up really anything for him. Just a Charger 7th. For Miami, I thought you would get a little bit more for him. However, you need to restart. You need to restart. Probably should have gotten more than a 7th-round pick for him. The Dolphins have officially cut Tua. He has a $99.2 million dead cap charge. That is the largest dead cap number ever in the history of the NFL. Just man. You would think this will stop teams from giving out $200+ million contracts to mediocre quarterbacks. It won't, but it should. And they also signed Malik Willis, 3 years for $67.5 million with $40 million guaranteed. I mean, I I don't understand. Like, I get why. I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore with the Miami Dolphins. Is he better than Tua? Maybe. I don't know. He had 6 starts with the Packers the last 2 years in place of Jordan Love from time to time. He looked pretty good, but he's gonna have it worse in Miami. They're building Packer South down there. I just don't think it makes sense. You're in cap hell with the Tua deal, and then you give out a $23+ million a year contract to Malik Willis, who's gonna be Matt Flynn 2.0. It just screams that. I would have just ran with Quinn Ewers. If you catch lightning the ball, great. If not, you take your 3-win season, you get the 4th pick from the draft, and your 2nd pick from the draft, whatever, and you draft the quarterback next year. Just, I don't get the Miami Dolphins. All right, so I took a little commercial break there to some of my stuff's going off on my phone, so I wanted to address all of it. Hearing conflicting reports on the contract terms of the Romeo Dobbs trade, it looks like it might be 4 years and 70 million. So I'll confirm that either today or tomorrow once we get that sorted out. But Jets made a couple of moves on the defensive side of the football. They had Joseph Asai, 3 years, 36 million for $22.5 million guaranteed. This is an overpay. I like Asai. He was good coming out of Texas. He's a fine rotational pass rusher, but $12 million a year for a part-time player is too much. They signed Kingsley and Gabbare a year for $10 million. Gets another rotational pass rusher. Look, I like that they're beefing up the front seven. The elite Jets defenses, like the Rex Ryan defenses in like 2009, 2010, the Robert Saleh defenses, in 2021, 2022, had a lot of depth in their front seven. Again, I'm not sure if Angbare is worth $10 million, but he's not a bad player. They signed Demario Davis, 2 years, $22 million. I think this is a good deal. He is 37 years old. He's lost a slight step, but he's a great leader, still a very solid linebacker. They should have never let him go the last time, but he's back with the Jets. It's a solid signing. I know Glenn is a joke, but this is the kind of player that the hell like. And they signed David Onyemata a year for $10.5 million, 9.6 of that is guaranteed. This is a good move. He's a solid defensive tackle. Now you have him, T'Vondre Sweat, and Josh Briggs as your D-tackle rotation. That's a very solid defensive tackle rotation. You can still draft David Villarreal 2nd overall. Overall, they did an okay job. They are beefing up the front seven, that's needed. You got a Pro Bowl safety. Not horrendous. Much more to say about the Geno Smith trade. He's utterly washed, but it was either sign him, the disaster that is Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, which is a worse version of Aaron Rodgers when they had him, and man, just yikes. The Raiders were very busy. They first of all they did trade for Taron Johnson, who's a solid slot corner, 6th and 7th round pick swap. They signed Tyler Linderbaum, 3 years, $81 million. He is the highest paid center by $9 million a year. Look, 26 million is ridiculous for a center, but he's very good. They have to protect Fernando Mendoza. They traded Max Trolls. They got all that money off the book. They don't have to pay Mendoza for years. Not paying Genti for a couple of years. Probably will never ever pay him, to be honest. You have so much money to spend. You have nothing real on the books. It's a understandable-ish massive overpay, and he is very good Linderbaum. J1 Naylor, 3 years, 35 million, 23 million guaranteed. Again, not sure if Naylor is worth almost 12 million a season, but fine complimentary receiver that you add. Nakobe Dean, 3 years, 36 million for 20 million guaranteed. He's a good linebacker. Been Philadelphia Eagles the last few years. I do like him. You also had Quay Walker, 3 years, 40.5 million. His first year or two were kind of rough. He had the issue where he pushed the trainer on the field. He's had some dirty plays, but he's cleaned those up. He's a very good linebacker. Raiders really need to help out the middle of their defense, and they do. Recently, Malcolm Kuntz for a year and 11 million. You had Kwity Paye, 3 years, 48 million. First round pick by the Indianapolis Colts a bunch of years ago. He's a solid pass rusher that you add. And you re-sign Eric Stokes, 3 years, 48 million. It's a pretty good bring back. He is a solid corner. The Chiefs re-signed Kelsey, coming back for a 14th year, which is kind of a surprise. A year for 12 up to 15 million. I mean, he's still a decent tight end, but not getting any better. Certainly not getting any younger. He's 36 years old. And they signed Kenneth Walker, 3 years, 43.5 million, with 20.5 million guaranteed. This is a really good signing. They desperately needed a 3-down back, and they get one. The reigning Super Bowl MVP, one of the most explosive running backs in the NFL. I think he'll thrive in the Chiefs' offense. Kenneth Walker heads to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Titans were busy. They signed Wan'Dale Robinson, 4 years, $78 million, with $38 million guaranteed. Look, I like Wan'Dale. He's a very solid slot receiver. Obviously, he reunited Brian Daboll, who was the offensive coordinator for Tennessee. Had a great year last year, 1,000 yards, but $19.5 million is a bit ridiculous for Wan'Dale Robinson. You signed Mitch Trubisky to a 2-year deal, so he'll back up Cam Ward. They had Cordell Flott, another former Giant, 3 years, $45 million. He's a solid corner, still young. He's very undersized for a corner, but he was good last year for the Giants. He was effective, probably their best corner last year. Though not saying a whole lot. He heads to the Titans. They signed John Franklin Myers, 3 years, $63 million. This is a good signing. Had a great year last year in Denver, had 8 sacks. He obviously reunites with Robert Saleh, who was the head coach for the Jets when he first broke out a few years ago with the Jets. He's a very good defensive tackle, can also play off the edge. Great run stuffer, can push the pocket. Very underrated player. Him and Jeffrey Simmons were going to feast on opposing ball carriers. And they also add Alontae Taylor, 3 years, $60 million. Now, he had a good year with the Saints last year. He's got some potential. He's still young. I don't think he's worth $20 million a year, though. So I think it's a bit of an overpay, but solid corner. Tennessee is adding to their team. But Giants were pretty busy. They signed Isaiah Likely, 3 years, $40 million. This is a really good signing. He reunites with John Harbaugh, gives Jackson Dart a big target in the middle of the field. I think he'll thrive with more opportunity for targets. He's a big guy, great athlete. He'll be effective in the red zone. Young quarterbacks love their tight end. That's why Dart was targeting Theo Johnson a lot in the red zone last year. But Isaiah Likely to the Giants. They also signed Jordan Stout, 3 years, $12.3 million. He's the highest paid punter in the league. Look, he is a great punter. If you're playing for John Harbaugh, you're going to lean on your defense, your running game, and you're going to play the field position game a lot. So punting actually is important. He's obviously comes along from Baltimore, and this is just a little, I just want to give some punters some love. They are real people too, believe it or not. They re-signed Jermaine Illuminor, 3 years, $39 million, $26 million guaranteed. This was a really important re-sign by the New York Giants. He had a really good year last year. That was a strong signing, surprised me by Joe Shane over the last 2 years. He's played some really good football. He can play all over the offensive line. He'll probably play right tackle, I would think, for the most part next year once again for the Giants. He's a very good offensive lineman that they re-sign. They also signed Tremaine Edmonds, 3 years, $36 million. That's a good signing. He's not great in coverage, but not horrific. But very, very good against the run. Solid linebacker that the Giants add to their defense. Arizona Cardinals make a couple moves. Signed Tyler Algier, 2 years, 12.2 million. He's a fine running back. He once upon a time did have a 1,000-yard season in his first year with Atlanta. Uh, Interesting considering James Conner took a pay cut to stay with the team, so we'll see what that alignment looks like. He'll Trey Benson coming back next year too, so he got a lot of backs there in Arizona. He sent Kendrick Bourne 2 years, 12 million. It's a fine signing. He'll be a solid complementary receiver. Along with Michael Wilson, hopefully Marvin Harrison Jr. can show them something next year. You signed Gardner Minshew a year for 5.75 million. He will be the backup to Jacoby Brissett. He backed up the Chiefs last year. They also add Isaac Seumalo, 3 years, 31.5 million. He is an absolute dog. He's a very good offensive guard. Arizona adds some much needed offensive line help. The Panthers were busy. They added Jolene Phillips, 4 years, 120 million. Now that's a ridiculous contract. 30 million a season for a guy who's had a lot of injuries, and the sack numbers haven't really been there, but he was really good down the stretch for the Eagles. He's still young. I think he could possibly break out. Then we have Kenny Pickett. They signed a year for 4 million, up to 7.5. I mean, Pickett's beyond awful. Not sure why that guy was ever a first round pick. They do need a backup quarterback though, but I think they're having something better than Kenny Pickett. You also add Devin Lloyd, 3 years and $45 million. This is a great signing. He's a really good linebacker. He's young, had a career year last year in Jacksonville. It's a big loss for Jacksonville. That's a big pickup for the Carolina Panthers. The Bucks make a couple of moves. Signed Kenneth Gainwell, 2 years, $14 million. I like that. He's a solid back. Had a career last year in Pittsburgh. I like him next to Bucky Irving. He'll replace Rashad White, who I think will leave. And they also cut Sean Tucker. They add Alec Anzalone, 2 years, $17 million. It's a fine signing. He's a solid linebacker. Was with the Lions the last couple of years. Saints signed Travis Etienne, 4 years, $52 million. This is probably my least favorite signing of free agency. Why would you pay a 28-year-old running back this amount of money? Was it $14 million a year when you have a 31-year-old running back still on your roster, Malcolm Kamara? And Kamara just took a pay cut. I thought he was going to stay, but you got to trade him now. I don't know what you are doing. But Etienne is a good back. He's an 1,100-yard guy last year, but not sure this makes any sense. Noah Fant signed a 2-year deal. He'll probably get some tying work with Juwan Johnson next year. You also signed David Edwards, a solid guard, 4 years, $61 million. Oh, an update to the Romeo Dobbs. It's 4 years for $80 million. That's a big deal. That's honestly an overpay, but he is a solid receiver, and they desperately needed a receiver. Falcons signed Nick Folk for a 2-year deal. Thank you for your service last year. Nick Folk was probably the Jets' best player last year, with Gary Wilson injured and their whole defense being traded. So thank you. He'll do a good job kicking for the Falcons. They had like 4 different kickers last year. He's ancient, but he is still a very good kicker. Kickers can play forever because they never get hit. So you got guys that that look like my dad, and they're still out there hitting all their kicks. And the Falcons side Tua Tagovailoa to a veteran minimum deal. What are the Falcons thinking? You have Michael Penix and Tua, 2 undersized left-handed quarterbacks who are the 2 most injury-prone quarterbacks in the league. How do you think that's going to end? Those 2 might get you through 10 games. Look, what are we doing? I get it's Atlanta, so it's warm weather for Tua. You got some nice pieces there, but just that's a disaster. I might as well have kept Kirk Cousins and ate the money with him. I don't know where he's going now that the Jets just signed or traded for Geno Smith. The Browns signed Quincy Williams, 2 years, $17 million. He's a solid signing. So long, Quincy. You don't deserve a Jets. The Browns are just as bad, but he's a very good linebacker. Very good off the edge, can cover. He's a good player. They signed Zion Johnson, 3 years, $49.5 million. That's a massive overpay. They are desperate for offensive line help. The Broncos re-signed J.K. Dobbins, 2 years, $20 million. I would not give Dobbins $10 million a year. He's never healthy, but he was very good when he was healthy last year. Though didn't play the end of the year, obviously. And they cut Dre Greenlaw for cap purposes, which is a shame. He's a really good linebacker. Someone will definitely pick him up. The Steelers make a bunch of moves. They signed Rico Dowdle, 2 years, $12.2 million. That's a good signing. He's a very good back. Had a career last year in Carolina. Also signed Jamal Dean, 3 years, $36 million. That's a good signing. He's a very good cover corner. Mentioned the Pittman move. Overpaid on the contract, but not a bad trade. Seahawks re-signed Rashid Shaheed, 3 years, $51 million, $34.7 million guaranteed. This is a big re-sign. He was a big trade line pickup. Great deep threat probably the best punt returner in the NFL. It's a big re-sign for the Seattle Seahawks. And Josh Jobe signs for 3 years and 24 million. He re-signs. He's an important piece of our secondary that they bring back. Commanders signed Odave Owa, 4 years, 100 million, with $68 million guaranteed. Look, he was pretty bad for the Ravens his first few years after being a first round pick, but he was a monster with the Chargers down the stretch. That's a lot of money for the Commanders, but that's what we needed an edge rusher. He's trending in the right direction. He's young. You better hope this works out. The Packers cut Elton Jenkins, who can play all over the offensive line, mainly has played center recently. Injury prone, but he's one of the elite O-linemen in the game when he's healthy. It saves the Packers $19.5 million against the cap. Bengals signed Boyd Mafe for 3 years and $60 million. I like Mafe. He's made strides in recent years since being a first round pick by Seattle, but too much money. Brian Cook, 4 years and 42.5. He's a solid save. The upgrade over Geno Snell. That's a good signing. The Patriots, a couple other moves they made. They sent Elijah Vera Tucker, 3 years, $42 million. First of all, screw you, AVT, for going to the Patriots. The money's fine. He's a very good lineman, but he's never healthy. Not sure why they gave him a 3-year deal. And Draymond Jones got 3 years, $39 million. That's a solid sign. He's a very solid defensive lineman. The Lions made a couple of small moves. This is what we're probably going to close out on unless something else pops through. They signed Cade Mays, 3 years, $25 million. He's an okay center. He's better than Graham Glasgow or Tate Rutledge playing center, but he isn't great, but he's a slight upgrade for them. They also bring in Isaiah Pacheco, who will be your number 2 back behind him. Replace David Montgomery behind Jahmyr Gibbs. See if anything else happens. Looks like no. That is it. So that's all I have for you guys today. Enjoy free agency and everything else. Until next time, so long and have a great day.